What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Friday. That means we got ourselves another episode of Why Are We Bullish? We got a killer fucking panel today. I'm super stoked about this. I just got distracted. There's a I've got my Twitter feed up right now, and an account called Bitcoin Fuckboy just posted laser tits. So I got a little bit dumbfounded on the side of my screen here. Anyways, welcome to the show. Again, stoked to have you guys here. As always, this is live. Anything can happen. Quick disclaimer from my good friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
I'm very excited for the panel today, by the way. We've got like damn near 150 people already in here. Smash that like button. Give this a share. Let's get rolling. As always, I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we get going with this panel, let's take a look at where we are in the market. We're sitting at around $58,940 some odd dollars per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 1,697 sats. Stack them while you can. 88.85% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, not bad actually right now. Next block, 59 sats per byte. If you're willing to wait an hour, around 20 sats per byte will do you. Really quick before I bring in the panel, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. You can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different things here. They've saved my ass on a couple times where I needed dollars, but I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin because taxable, worried about having to buy back in at a higher price. I was able to deposit, get dollars, pay that off, get back the same amount of Bitcoin, which for me is the important number. Of course, they got their savings accounts. They got their B2X offering, tons of great stuff. Check them out. Also, Mauricio is a legend from there. So check out my interview with him. We talk all about coming from Venezuela and all that stuff. Again, super awesome guy. Up next, Kobo, one of my very favorite hardware wallets, actually. I love this thing, air-gapped, Bitcoin only firmware. You got to upgrade to that. Secure element. I've been using it a lot with multi-sig alongside my cold card. And I just really like the way that you can do QR codes and everything. Never plug it into anything. Yeah, it's awesome. Check it out. Links for that down below. Bitrefill. Of course, I'm living on Bitcoin. One of the ways I do that is Bitrefill. They have gift cards for pretty much everything you can imagine, and they accept on-chain and Lightning. So if you want those cheap, fast transactions, that's easy. You also do earn sats back in the process, so check them out. And finally, guys, please be careful. I've been getting so many people, they did not back up their wallets well. They put them on paper. They threw it out. They didn't realize it was important. Treat your backups seriously. One of the ways that you can do that is to get it into steel. Then you're at least kind of mitigating against the risk of fire, water damage, or like these people I've been talking to, accidentally throwing it out. So check out BillFodl over on privacypros.io. With that, let's get into our panel. Let me get my screen up here. We've got Matt Odell, Dennis Porter, Tony Kai, Desiree, Dickerson. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Great
Yes.
day.
Pretty
Ready to
good.
go.
Yes. Guys, this is a super chill, easy to do show. It's Why Are We Bullish? There's so many reasons. The only difficult part of this show is narrowing it down. So we've got we go by the 3 R's here. We give a reason, we riff on the reason, and then we rotate. Really, really easy. Really quick before we do that, let's go down the line for anybody that's watching that's a noob that has no idea who's in the room here. Just give yourselves a quick intro and kind of what you do. I'll start with Matt. Take it away. Who are you? What do you do?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Name's Matt Odell. I just really like Bitcoin. Bitcoin privacy is my focus, and I have a bunch of education resources, and we have 2 shows that we do every week, and you can find those all at mattodell.com.
Awesome. Let's jump to Dennis. Let people know who you are, what you do.
How's it going? I'm Dennis Porter. I recently became a full-time Bitcoin educator, been around since 2017, just following in the footsteps of great guys like Matt Odell and Ben over here, looking to continue to build up my educational tools. I have a guide coming eventually here soon, but big fan of Clubhouse. That's where I spend most of my time. So if you want to listen in on me, just feel free to follow me over there.
Awesome. Yeah, and we've had a couple chats on Clubhouse together. Always have a lot of fun there. I heard Matt talking about it on TFTC the other day. It is a total time suck, dude. It's you gotta choose which rooms you're in and why. And yeah, but it's a good resource. I can't imagine having that kind of a resource early on in Bitcoin, being like, I'm just gonna jump in a room and directly ask all these guys that like do podcasts my exact question about Bitcoin. So we are orange pilling
people left and right on Clubhouse. It's an incredible place for people to learn about Bitcoin. It's probably one of the things I'll talk about that I'm bullish about.
Awesome. Des, let people know who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I am the VP of Business Operations at Lightning Labs. So that kind of means a lot of everything. Anything business related at Lightning Labs. I also help out with a cool project called MintGox, which is a monthly esports tournament that showcases games that are built on Bitcoin and Lightning. So that's like my favorite thing to talk about and show for sure.
Awesome. And Tony, jump in. Let us know what you do.
Hey everyone, I'm Tony. Basically, I'm one of the co-founders of Atomic.Finance. Made a bit of a noise earlier this week, but basically what we're doing is we're building a super simple to use mobile app for Bitcoin holders that care a lot about transparency, care a lot about self-custody, to be able to deploy their Bitcoin in yield strategies that are fully non-custodial and transparent. Matt, my co-founder Matt, was on with Dennis yesterday on Clubhouse, and Dennis is we're planning for Dennis to be our first beta user, so that's very much in the plans.
The deal was made that I had to answer the question correctly. Who was the smarter co-founder? I caught it, the tweet before you deleted it, but we'll see at the end of this show which I choose. Yeah, but I had a great time talking to Matt. Man, he was on point. Aaron had a bunch of tough questions for him, and it was like boom, boom, boom. He just answered them without a problem. And so I'm really excited about what you guys are doing over at Atomic.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you were a great moderator as well.
Thank you.
Sweet.
We've got people in the chat already telling us that it started pumping the moment we started the show. Somebody said they market bought when Matt popped that cork. So kudos. Ben, can you set me up with an all-time high tomorrow for my birthday? I will do my best, Taproot Uvis. Absolutely. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to start with my reason for being bullish. And it kind of is similar to one I did, I don't know, probably a few months back. And it's about, I would say, the information asymmetry that's going on just everywhere, because everything seems just so ridiculously similar to 2017. There are definitely differences, like the drawdown of Bitcoin on exchanges, things like that. But like in terms of some of the bullshitty, scammy stuff that's happening in the background, that is so similar. It's just whatever the flavor of the week has happened to be. ICOs replaced by DeFi and NFTs, but also in the people assuming that things will replace Bitcoin, that this is already the top. All of these assumptions as if it's not going to be so similar to 2017, but so far it just has. And the narratives that we're seeing on mainstream media, we're getting the same FUD that's being recycled 4 years later. So I think my main reason for being bullish is just how hilariously similar this is to last time. And in my mind, I feel like we're going to have at least one more of these cycles. And if so, then the advantage that anybody who's been paying attention to, like anybody who's actually been paying attention over the past number of years, or actually taken the time to look back historically what has happened, the advantage that you have is just so much more than anybody who's dismissive and not paying attention. in short, asymmetry. That's why I'm so fucking bullish right now. So I'm gonna pass it down the line, get thoughts from everybody if they're feeling the same way about this, if they think it's different this time. Let's start with Matt, dude. What are you feeling?
First of all, it's hilarious that everyone always says it's different this time. It's like the most perfect meme. And I mean, I guess the TLDR of your statement is, the halving isn't priced in, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like it's who was it? Was it Joe Weisenthal that had said the halving isn't priced in, and you quote tweeted him like a million times over?
Yeah, I was a little aggressive with it, but I love Joe.
Yeah. No,
he's a professional troll, so he enjoys when he gets trolled back.
Yeah, I've been quote tweeting him a bunch lately with imagine tweeting this, or imagine recommending listening to Stephanie Kelton was the one that I just retweeted. What was the other one he tweeted out the other day?
He chirped back at you, right? He's like, I don't have to imagine. Yeah. I tweeted it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know. Like I feel like it's so similar. I feel like it's like the movie Groundhog Day, where everybody's oblivious to it, and there's just a group of Bitcoiners being like, did this not just happen? Is this not the same thing? So I don't know. Dennis, are you?
Yeah, for me, it's like 2017 was my big first pump, and it felt like everyone was saying the same things. Oh, this is it. This is the last chance to get on board. We're going to reach escape velocity. Better take a HELOC out on your home and mortgage yourself and go absolutely all in on debt because this is going to be your last opportunity to get in on Bitcoin. And I just don't see it that way, because I think we've realized that this is going to keep happening over and over again. What is it, like 1% of the global wealth is like in Bitcoin at this point? Like, we are just leaving the dock, in my opinion. And I think that being said, I think we're still going to see Bitcoin, and as far as the price goes, I think we're going to absolutely see it surpass everyone's expectations, even probably ourselves, because that's what always happens. It always goes to some crazy number. And then this is how you know it's done. When the true Bitcoiners like Matt Odell are like, maybe we are going to reach escape velocity. That's when the price is going to crash.
At $18,000, I was like, hyper Bitcoinization's upon us.
You crashed the price. It was your fault. Hold strong this time, Matt. Hold strong.
That's not the only top that Odell has caused. I remember specifically a very drunk Matt Odell on the roof of the Bitcoin 2019 conference telling everybody to market buy, which if you did and you held, you're still way up. But that was the local top for that entire year. How long was it before we?
Like a year and a half, 2 years or something. It was a long time. People kept reminding me. They didn't let me forget.
I can imagine. Des, how about you? What are you feeling? Do you feel like this is kind of just a slight variations on a rehash of what happened in 2017?
Yeah, it's madness. But it's so much more of a shit show. I mean, like, this NFT thing is like, I think it might have been with like the NFT fart, which like I totally support. Like, that's probably the best NFT out there. Like, also, like, I am not into knocking things unless I try them, minus like heroin. And so, I'm currently in the process of trying to buy this NFT from this artist I love, and it's like a disaster. Like, it's a total disaster. He has an NFT boy who's like hustling me on like Rarible, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but like the artist doesn't understand what the fuck is going on. And like, it's like, this is he's like, well, I'll send you a physical copy as well. And I was like, do you not get the point? Like, it's such a shit show. So like, I don't know. At Lightning Labs, we like, Elizabeth is all about like, we don't look at the price. Like, we want it to be low so we can like be quiet and build. So I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely being distracted on Twitter.
Yeah. Are you getting a lot less shit done right now?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, it's just like, I can't even concentrate. Like, Matt's like all over Twitter with cap locks and like, and my brain is basically scrambled eggs at this point, but like, I'm so bullish. And then honestly, like, I was like the guys at Bitcoin Magazine and Celia from Zebedee and I played CSGO for like a few hours the other night with like the Zebedee's infused product, and it was like insane because like I've done it before, but like I always get like totally pwned by like these like little boys who like say horrible things to me. So like this was the first time I had fun doing it. I was like, this is it. This is the future. Like it's like ubiquitous Lightning, ubiquitous Bitcoin. It's like it's happening, and I think it might be soon. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting that, I mean, it's inevitable, but with when Bitcoin pumps, when Bitcoin goes up and starts getting into like a manic kind of, we surpass all-time highs and people get crazy about things. Obviously, and unfortunately, it's going to come with all the scammy bullshit because people always want to tag onto the success of that. And because it's so cyclical and it comes in those spurts, then it's easy for people to forget, or people that just never got involved in the first place, not to realize what all the scammy bullshit that came before was, and not to see the exact copy pasta bullshit that's happening. It's unfortunate, but it's just going to take to the point where literally everyone has used Bitcoin and fallen down that shitcoin rabbit hole once or twice, or seen and heard enough of their friends to have, succumbed to it, that, until everybody in the world more or less understands why Bitcoin is important, you're just going to see it repeat over and over again, I think. But anyways, let's let Tony speak a little bit, dude. How are you feeling about this cycle? Is it feeling like it's repeating a little bit? We had a good, speaking of not falling down the shitcoin rabbit hole, you and I had an interview, and you told me about your kind of story of being big into ETH previously, and then like all the realizations you had of being like, oh wow, I'm gonna work on Bitcoin. So you might have some unique insight here.
I think it's very, I mean, like the issue is like basically the new people that first come in, they don't know better, right? And so basically, like I think similar to Dennis, like 2017 was my first real bull cycle, and obviously the flashy things were the like crypto kitties, were all those like all that kind of stuff, right? Like all the ICOs and stuff like that. And that was the flashy stuff. That was where like people were making like crazy amounts of money in a matter of days, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, like, once you go through one whole cycle, like that's when you actually learn like what is the real value prop here, what is what are the things that actually have staying power, right? And obviously, for the real unfortunate people are a select few of my friends who got screwed by the ICO stuff last time and still going down the same NFT that stuff like that. Those people, I'm really kind of trying to really correct their behavior there. But like basically, it does feel similar. And whenever you, I mean, sometimes on Twitter you also hear this. I don't know what it is with some Ethereans who really feel the need to like say like, oh, ETH is sound money or ETH is ultra sound money. I think you guys probably saw that. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like why do you feel the need to really like try to claim Bitcoin's value prop? Like, it's very clear what Bitcoin's value prop is. It's always been quite clear for a while now. And I don't know what it is. It's like it's like the ETH is struggling to find its own value prop kind of thing, and it's just kind of repeating itself.
Well, guys, didn't you hear that Ethereum's getting more scarce, guys? It's getting more scarce because it's been decreed.
It's been awesome to have Tony and Matthew who moved over from Ethereum. So did you have the similar story, Tony, of you were working together with Matthew on another project over it was Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? And then eventually there were some good Bitcoiners on the team who Matthew wouldn't even name because they're like so all in on Bitcoin and the OPSEC. But eventually this guy convinced Matthew. Did he convince you also? Was it the same kind of story for you?
So it was a chain. So he convinced Matthew, and then Matthew convinced me at the end of the day. So I was like the last domino to fall. And then that was when we were like, hey, yeah, Bitcoin's the way to go. And and whatnot. But yeah, it took too long for me, to be honest, to make that full switch. Yeah.
Hey, everybody has their moment, right? That's all good. So I think the consensus here is this is basically, another. We're just driving around the block, seeing the same scenery, pretty much. So anybody watching out there, this time is not different. Is the consensus here?
Someone asked in the chat, what's the problem with holding good alts? First of all, I believe that every single asset in this world is trending to zero when priced in Bitcoin.
Here's the good answer. The problem is that there are no good alts.
But besides that fact, and what Tony kind of hit the nail on the head there is, in these short-term time periods, scams pump the hardest. They pump the hardest. If you somehow magically are able to buy the bottom and sell the top, you're going to have a lot more Bitcoin. And people have a tendency to think that they're smarter than the rest of the market, and they're going to be able to do that. And they usually need a whole cycle to realize, like, oh, the scams did pump the hardest, and then they dumped the hardest. And now anyone was caught holding those bags has way less Bitcoin, right? And so usually it takes at least one cycle for someone to realize that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can't wait for next week. Gonna do a takedown. We're gonna take down Ethereum, which is like what? That's the only, theoretically, some people claim is the good alt. So I'm really pumped about that. Matt would be more than happy to have you on the deep dive show on Clubhouse. We are just gonna absolutely rip this thing wide open for all of the community to see, on an economic side and on a technical side. I think it really needs to be done at this point. Obviously, Tony would be great to be there too, man. you're a shitcoin insider.
I'm the
That's
insider,
a show.
I guess.
That's Guy Swan does a show called Shitcoin Insider where they review what the hell's going on with all the shitcoins. It's great. Yeah, it does seem very similar, but let's round this out. I feel like we're pretty much in consensus that it's more of the same. This time is not different, and if you're smart, you can use that to your advantage by just staying the course, stacking sats, and sit back and relax. Enjoy the ride. So let's move on to our next reason for being bullish. Before we do that, of course, we've got like 170 people watching live. Smash like, give this a share. Let's get even more people watching, and keep commenting because I'm seeing great comments in here. We love them. I'm going to jump to Matt. Dude, what is your reason for being bullish this week?
So it actually fits perfectly with your reason. Although this time is not different in terms of Bitcoin cycles, it is very different in terms of Bitcoin only education and content. And there's an insane amount. We have through this bear market, we basically, a bunch of us have built out this Bitcoin only content network that just didn't exist last cycle. And there's this whole subculture now around responsible dollar cost averaging, and then taking self-custody of those sats and then using your own node while you use those sats. And that's crazy. That just didn't exist before. And I think people are really, fortunately, we're getting a bunch of newcomers that get to skip that burn period where they don't have to get burned in a cycle before they realize. So that's good for them. And then second of all, I think it could make the intensity of this cycle larger. I think we might have more upside. It might go for a little bit longer, because you have this floor of humble sat stackers that are coming in and they're withdrawing their sats from the exchanges. They're pulling them off. They're holding them in their own keys, and they have no intention of selling. It's literally a one-way street. They just go into sats and they expect at some point in the future they're going to spend it, but they're never going to sell it. And that we didn't have that last cycle.
Yeah, I agree. So what you're saying is we can all get rich by just staying humble. Is what you're getting at?
Yeah, it's stacking them.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dennis, go ahead.
No, it's so accurate. I mean, it's the people that are coming in now, I get to avoid all the bumps and bruises that we went through. It was there's no flippening. Nobody's ever worried about Bitcoin being flippant. That's not even a conversation anymore. I really, really think that, I was going to talk about earlier, was a Clubhouse thing, man. It's these people are coming in and learning about Bitcoin, and then they're not learning about anything else. That's it. They're just learning about Bitcoin in these cafe Bitcoin rooms. There's a couple other ones, but they're great out there.
Yeah, 100%. And to your point, like there's people in the chat right now, like they're running nodes. Like that was not a thing that people really understood last cycle. It was not a regular occurrence to see people posting pictures of the nodes that they just spun up.
Think about all the projects that they all came up after in between.
My node, Umbral, all of that, like it's so great, and Lightning itself is so much easier to work with over the past few years.
Well, I mean, yes, we have a long way to go in terms of usability and like making this easy for people to use. But now, like, I mean, there's, like Matt said, there's so many projects where people are like hacking away, getting like normie users. Like my dad literally uses the Fold card. He's so addicted to it. Like he called me and was like, Des, let me explain sats to you. And I was like, okay. Like dad explained it to me and I was like, got it, Dad. Thank you for informing me. And but like the point is like, yeah, it's all so easy. Like, I mean, does anybody I don't even remember what wallet I was using in like 2017, but like, I'm sure, like, yeah, exactly. Like, just imagine how far we've come. And, like, I mean, we host these things at Lightning Labs called, like, roundtables where we get, like, all the projects in, like, one space. Now it's virtual, but, like, online. And, I mean, in Berlin at the Lightning Conference, we had 30 people in 2019. Now I have, like, 150 people who come to these roundtables. So that means, like, I mean, just the projects alone in the past like year and a half have like, grown that much just in Lightning alone. So it's like, I think not only are the projects growing, but like we're really, really like kind of chipping away at the usability piece. Yes, there's like a lot of progress to be made, but like, I mean, even Zebedee's wallet, I realize it's custodial, but like for onboarding new users, I mean, they're using the LN URL, like static QR code, and people are putting it in their like streams when they're playing games, and you can tip really easily. So like, yeah, I mean, nothing's perfect yet, but like we're slowly getting there and experimenting. And a lot of people call this like the Cambrian explosion, like the Cambrian explosion time. And like, let us not forget the Cambrian explosion only lasted for 20 million years. Like if you've ever taken significant evolutionary biology, which is very, very short amount of time. So it's like, there's going to be a lot of experimentation. People are going to be playing around a lot, and a lot of it's not going to work, and that's fine. But like what's results after that 20 million years is like much evolutionary progress and like stronger projects. We're going to have like better products. So I think, with this bull run and all this hype and all this attention in the space, like we're going to have more projects, but in the end, we're going to have better products. So I'm super, super bullish for that reason.
That's so true. Like you see, it's a lot of noise during the bull runs, but there's also a lot of money and funding that comes into it. And the bullshit projects and garbage scams that can't sustain themselves when there's not a constant influx of new money, they disappear. But the good projects, they proliferate, and they like so much building happened over the last bear market. And it was an incredible time. I had some friends that kind of came in as the last bull run, it was kind of like coming to an end, like January. In fact, one of them is in the chat right now. I pulled up a couple of his, but he got in like January of 2018, and he rode out the whole bear market. But it was probably the best thing for him because it gave him so much time to focus in and realize what was actually important without nearly as much noise and nearly as many distractions. It was beautiful for him. It really worked out. And now he's like much better off, much happier. He's definitely on the verge of working for himself and not having to, having a better life. So I'm really glad that that timing worked out. I basically did the same thing in the cycle where I joined in. I was coming off the top of a bull run, but then through 2014, 15, 16, it was such a great time to start learning. And like one of my favorite creators at the time, Vortex, he was so integral to my learning and avoiding all the missteps of like falling down, as Canute said, the shitcoin shithole instead of the shitcoin rabbit hole.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like back then, we only had like a couple content creators that were creating Bitcoin only quality content that was available for all for free. Now we have way too much content, not too much, but like way more content than you could ever listen to, ever watch, ever read. We have guides for every type of little thing. And then at the same exact time, you have all these open source projects that are flourishing and they have no shitcoin support. It's the craziest thing that there's no central coordination here. And we watched all of this explode in the last 3 years. And the majority of people on the planet have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very lucky when I first came in 2016, 2017 to hear Andreas as like one of the first people that I heard speak about Bitcoin. The other one was Richard Hart, but it was fun to watch him kind of spiral out of control. I was like, man, I really trusted this guy. He's really lost it now at this point.
Yeah, it was funny to see his capitulation. Anybody watching back in the previous kind of bull run, there's this guy, Richard Hart, and he came out like full on Bitcoin maxi at the time. And it seemed like he was kind of in line, like understood everything. And he was like, okay, this is what makes sense. And then he got wrecked because he was doing some degen trading. He was like leveraged longing, and he thought that it was just going to keep on going forever. And he just got totally fucking wrecked. And then it seemed like he kind of got angry about that, and then just like in an instant he was like, fuck it, I'm making a shitcoin on Ethereum and I'm just gonna pump it. And he like had to like all of these buzzwords for he called like pumpamentals and all this shit, and he just went off the rails. Anyways, dude's a scammer, don't buy Hex. Sorry, Tony, I've been taking up your time. Do you want to add commentary on like quality of content out there, how things have changed? Oh, you're muted, dude.
You guys, I think you guys have pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. But like, yeah, I mean, the wealth of Bitcoin-centric content, Bitcoin-only content is certainly a lot better than when I first joined the space. I think that yeah, like to your point about like running your own node, it's so easy to set up like an Umbro now. It's crazy, right? And like basically like. It's before when it was like perceived that only the techiest of techies like can like do really like fully become your own self-sovereign Bitcoiner and run your own node, and that kind of stuff is the barrier of access to that has been dramatically decreased, and that's amazing, right? And you're never going to be able to do that with Ethereum because like you need like a huge supercomputer to actually run your own node, or with even some of the more egregious, less centralized or less decentralized chains out there. Bitcoin's really the only one that you can do that. And I think all those points make me incredibly bullish on Bitcoin for sure.
Awesome. I love it. We're going to keep rolling down the line. We're going to go for another reason for being bullish. There's like 200 people here. Smash like, give this a share. Let's get even more people watching. Thanks for the stream of constant comments coming in. Good to see you guys here. Let's jump to Dennis, dude. What has you feeling bullish this week?
Oh, man, it's probably the same thing that has me feeling bullish every week, and that is this new app that I play with every day called Clubhouse. It is an incredible app. We are orange pilling people. We are indoctrinating people. We have a Sunday Satoshi service with Padre John. Like, it's a full-blown religion at this point. Like, sorry about it. These rooms don't stop oftentimes. They just go all day. It's like better than a conference because you're literally just skipping the part where you listen to someone who is smarter than you, and you're just getting in a room and talking to people one-on-one, basically, is what it feels like. Anybody can come up and ask questions. It's an incredible device. I think it's going to absolutely change the amount of like that base layer, of hodler we have. Like this, the base layer of hodlers, and then when Clubhouse came out, it was like this, like it's just going straight up. So I'm super bullish about it. I think that it's taking more and more Bitcoin off the market and putting it into permanent long-term, hodling wallets more faster than ever before, and I couldn't possibly be more bullish about it. I mean, that's how I met you, dude. Like that's how I met you. That's how I'm on the show right now. Like I
That's
just
true.
started.
There
I just
were a
started
lot
doing
of
Bitcoin
Bitcoiners
education
on
like
there.
a month ago. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of Bitcoiners that I just didn't know previously that were like kind of front and center there, that were like good, solid Bitcoiners that just I didn't know from basically Twitter, where everybody was and still is. But like there was a lot of really great commentary that I wasn't expecting to hear from like a different platform. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely like trash NFT rooms and stuff like that. But you can get into some excellent rooms and there's some good conversation. And I love seeing the noobs coming through there and getting funneled into those rooms and going, oh, okay, this is the other thing. And I guess this kind of tags on to Matt's reason is that the narrative across all of these different content creators and mediums and things like Clubhouse, when it comes to Bitcoiners, it's just so incredibly consistent everywhere. Whereas when it comes to like the shitcoiner narratives, they're all over the place, right? It's like, this is better than everything else because we want to pump this thing. But then something over here is saying, no, this is better than everything else. Whereas like Bitcoin, it's pretty much like, this is what you're looking for. This is the whole reason for things being here in the first place, the reason for Bitcoin to exist. And it's not like, it's not, I mean, other than the joking, like sell your chairs, most of the advice actually being thrown out there is like, hey, take your time, learn the ropes. You got to learn about security. It's not like, pump and then dump at the right time. It's like, no, this is a long-term savings plan. It should be treated as such. The narrative is so much more cohesive, I think.
The strongest example of that was Sailor coming into the space. Sailor came into the space and he basically just like, since he came into the space, he just repeats the party line over and over again. It's just like the same. It's just like the same information distilled and perspective distilled, and just like a very easy to digest away. It's very strong narratives. Dennis, I'm curious on your opinion here on Clubhouse since you brought it up. Do you think that it's a platform that is more prone to like affinity scamming and shitcoinery because people don't feel, because it's more personal? I feel like it's twofold. It's more personal because you're talking to them in words. So like people have a tendency to let them keep talking rather than call them out for it. And then second of all, it's ephemeral technically, even though there's probably a bunch of state agencies recording it and advertising companies recording all those conversations. Technically, it disappears right away. So there's no record of the shitcoining. Like on Twitter,
Yes.
if I said something that the hive mind disliked 45 years ago, like they can go back to it and they can call it out. They can tweet stamp it. They can post everything that I said that was wrong, right? But with Clubhouse, you don't have that.
Yeah, so you kind of hit the nail on the head. I was wondering when you asked at the beginning, I could kind of see where you're going, and you actually literally hit the nail on the head. There is a small problem on Clubhouse where, because there's no record, which I kind of like that a little bit, that aspect. Right. It's a feature, but it does allow these people to come in and talk and an affinity scam. They could, if you don't know what affinity scamming is out there, it's basically where someone comes in and they say, hey, I love Bitcoin, and they make friends with you, and then they're like, hey, look at my shitcoin. And because you're friends with them, you're like, oh, I trust this person now. I'm gonna go, maybe I should go check it out.
In the Clubhouse case, specifically like being on stage in like a popular Bitcoin room. Right.
So we've actually done a lot of work recently. So there's two clubs that I really focus on because I really think they've done well. One is mine, but one is Cafe Bitcoin. They have like this admin page where we do a really good job of communicating and making sure that we are staying on top of stuff like that. So there's some really great leaders in that group that have made it the #1 project to make sure that affinity scamming is not allowed to occur. I mean, here's the thing, Bitcoiners, man. It's like the moment someone comes on stage and they start talking, the moment they say one little tiny thing wrong, and it's really easy to say something wrong when you're talking long format. You know right away. You're like, okay.
Right away. I see it coming. I know it's going to happen. Like
either this person is super new and ignorant. Right? I hate to say the word ignorant, but they're super new and they just are unaware of this, what the truth is of this situation, or they're a scammer. So immediately 50 people go start looking at all their social media platforms because they're linked. And unfortunately, sometimes some people that may be good Bitcoiners in their heart, but they promote shitcoins on their, their social media platforms, they get ousted pretty quickly. And we do a pretty good job, I think, of moderating that. But it is something that we do have to be aware of at all times, because affinity scammers are real. I mean, it is probably the #1 type of scamming. And it's unfortunate that we have these scammers, but we do try to do a really good job of toning that down. Yeah,
that's fair. Des, have you dove into the Clubhouse realms yet?
I got a unpopular opinion. I don't love Clubhouse. I know. I mean, I do see it as a super useful tool. Ryan and I created this, we have something called the Lightning Lab, which is Ryan Gentry's and I's like skunkworks project, where we just like, hey, like, how do we bring this to more people? How do we onboard new devs? And so we decided to create this Clubhouse room. Like, I mean, it's been a while now, and we do it weekly, and it's been an absolute, I give it credit where credit's due. It's been an amazing tool for like reaching new people, onboarding new people. I mean, obviously our group is like a little bit more technical, really focused at developers who are trying to build on LND. But I just like, I think it's very ephemeral. I think it's like very, on vogue right now, given the pandemic and like, the lack of being able to be in person. I mean, I don't know, but I just hate being always on. Like, and I hate that it's like less of curated content. Like for me, it's like, I love putting on a podcast, being able to go about my business, but it's like, I jump in a Clubhouse room, someone puts me on the stage, and it's like, they're asking me questions, and now I'm like in the shower, which has happened. And it's like, holy shit, now I gotta like jump out of the shower and be like, oh yeah, like respond to something. I mean, it's
when you're on the toilet for a few hours, you have to like time. Yeah, or when you're on Clubhouse for a few hours, you have to like time when you go to the bathroom. It's like, I've been hosting some of these rooms, and I'm like, okay, I really have to go to the bathroom. And so I have to like time when I go. I'm like, I get someone to like ask a question, and then I'm like, all right, go. Yeah, you're right. It does a lot. Sorry to interrupt you, Desiree. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No. I feel you. But I mean, I think it's an interesting tool. Like, I think it's like, okay, maybe we should start like branching out to like these other avenues of communicating and reaching people, rather than just like the shit show that has become crypto Twitter. I mean, I don't really know what that looks like. I mean, Ryan and I have toyed around with like, now we have like a really, really engineering focused Discord server with like a voice chat every couple weeks, like in office hours. You're playing around with like doing some stuff on Twitch. Like, I set my Umbral node up on Twitch, and had people like, I do my makeup on there as well. So like, I just like try and bring in different audiences. So I mean, yeah, I think it's just like, we live in the age of like, your own, every company is their own media company. And so I think it's like an interesting tool. And, I do think that there's a lot of really, really well curated groups. Like Dennis, you do a great job. The folks at Swan Bitcoin have done incredible work, and like they've helped us a ton, Ryan and myself out a ton with our group. But I mean, I don't know, like I just like gotta to step away from it. It's not my favorite. I gotta be honest.
I mean, the debates, the two things that I love about it, and I can totally see the negatives on Clubhouse. I definitely can see the points that you've made. For me personally, it launched like right as I was deciding to kind of get out there and be an educational person around Bitcoin. So the timing was kind of perfect for me. And it really helped me kind of grow my audience in that way. So for me, obviously, there's some personal selfish reasons for why I like Clubhouse. But two things that I really do like about it, aside from the downsides, is that the debates are live, and Bitcoiners always win because we have the best arguments and because what we're saying is the truth. So people are able to come in these rooms and they're able to hear the back and forth, and they're just like, wow, it's so easy to choose which side I want to be on. I think the other big thing really too is the authenticity that you can hear in people's voices, like you, Desiree, and Matt Odell. Obviously, I've heard your voice many, many times on your podcast. And I think that when you can listen to the debate and you can hear the argument and you can hear the authenticity, I just think it really bypasses that whole educational curve for some people, some newbies, and really just plugs them. Like, it's like downloading, I call it a matrix style download of information. And so it just really just plugs people in and gets them going right away. And for me, it works really well, but it's definitely not a tool that works great for everybody. You definitely have to have a lot of time on your hands. Luckily, I don't work like for a blockchain company. I'm I'm not working on developing Bitcoin, and I bow down to all the people that do that, because that's the real work that needs to be done. But for me, I just want to educate people, and so it's a great tool for me.
Wait, I got an idea, and I actually got this idea on your podcast, Matt, because I love Paul Atoy and everything he does. Like, I'm obsessed with him. I met up with him in Utah, and I went away, and I was like, I have to change the world. Like, this guy has inspired me. Why don't we move these things to Clubhouse? Like, Paul put it out there. Like, I actually have a tweet draft that I haven't got around to tweeting yet, because I have been working a little bit today. Why don't we move some of these conversations to Sphinx and, like, you know, put our sats where our mouths are, or whatever you would say, and like start doing some education on Sphinx. Like that's what I'm feeling.
You know, it's super promising, and I love Sphinx, and I'm excited for it. The Android app is still very not stable.
That's what I heard.
And it is not easy to onboard people yet. We have like Marty. I love Marty. Marty's my brother. Okay. But Marty gets very hyped and very excited about Sphinx, and he hypes up all the freaks about Sphinx. And then they all jump in my DMs and they're like, how do I get into your room? You know, and they just can't, we cannot meet the demand right now. So it seems a little unfair. And I think even this is a main complaint I have with Clubhouse as well. And Clubhouse doesn't even have the, you know, hometown hero effect where like I want to support Sphinx like a fuck ton. Like we were one of the first podcasts that has a Sphinx tribe. But with Clubhouse, like if you don't have an iPhone, you can't use it. So it's intentionally like inclusionary. With Sphinx, that's not the case. It's just because it's beta. So, you know, obviously it'll get better over time, and I'm very excited for it. But something like this chat, you know, Ben is streaming it out through. How many platforms are you streaming out through? 2, 3?
Right now 2, but like you know, I used to have it going out to like Facebook and a whole bunch of other places too.
Dispatch I have going out to Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. It's recorded, and then you're able to download the full videos for free afterwards, and audio afterwards, either through a podcast feed, through Keybase, through Telegram. Like it's able to get out to way more people. So I'd be 100% down to do it through Sphinx if at the very least, I could export it afterwards. You know, if I could easily export the whole thing afterwards, then RHR, we would move RHR right away, move it over to Sphinx.
All right, it's a little early, but like just putting the idea out there then. How about
I'm ready. Let's fucking do it.
Matt, you said you said you're not a big fan of Clubhouse either, but you know, I've seen Max Kaiser using it in a very interesting way, which is where Cafe Bitcoin kind of airs his podcast in a room, and for people to just listen in to kind of broaden your audience. And then what you can do is you can have an after party where you can come into the Clubhouse and you can actually communicate with people. I think that's been working really well for the Orange Pill podcast.
Yeah,
something maybe you want to look into.
I got a dedicated iPhone just to see what was going on with Clubhouse. I was curious about it. I'm an Android user. I'm like an addicted Android user. I have like 4 different phones right now. Like two of them are running Graphene. One's running stock. The other one's running Calyx. And then I also got an iPhone so that I could do Clubhouse. I actually have experimented the opposite way where, you know, I've been consulting for Bitcoin Magazine, and they did a couple Clubhouse rooms that I felt bad that other people couldn't access them. So I was rebroadcasting the Clubhouse room out to Twitter because everyone was on Twitter, and Twitter is multi-platform. It's literally like if I want to broadcast into Clubhouse from my podcast, I have to like put my iPhone next to it and manually have it on like speakerphone. And then if I do it the opposite way, like I literally took this mic and I just put it right next to my iPhone on speakerphone, and that's how I broadcast it out. It's like not native, right? And I know that once again, it's early, right? It's low-hanging fruit for them. Like all they need to do, a massive boost for them is if they just have easy export functions or easy import functions, right? Like Ben uses this platform, StreamYard. He's got like buttons that he presses that enables his YouTube, enables his Twitter, you know, like there should be a Clubhouse button, and then it just broadcasts over.
Yeah.
I think they definitely have like a control issue over there at Clubhouse. Like they're really controlling the way things are done. But I think that Cafe Bitcoin has done too is they stream it live on YouTube as we're doing it. So we usually have like Brecky or someone over there trying to stream it. So there's lots of options, but I just thought it'd be something that you might want to look into just because Max Kaiser seeming figured it out. I just thought it was a cool model that he put forward, and he's been using very effectively to grow and to communicate directly with his audience. Sorry, Ben, you were go ahead.
The thing is, I like the live chat. The live chat's the best part, right? So if I rebroadcast out to Clubhouse, I have no idea what it's too analog. It's not like I'm not communicating with that audience, right? Like the coolest part about a live show to me is the direct audience participation. Mm-hmm. And because it's so the way that you have to do that setup, like it's just lost. It's just like a broadcast method. It's one way.
For me, it ends up being like I want to hang out with Bitcoiners, and that's just like my outlet. It basically gives me kind of like what I get on Twitter, but I get to like have actual human interaction, which is like I think everybody's just fucking missing actually talking to people right now, and like us is like being in the space actually get to have some of those conversations, especially making content. Thank God, because I'd be going insane. But like everybody's dying for meetups. I like Bitcoin 2021 can't come fucking soon enough. Holy shit, I'm so stoked for it. But yeah, like for me, it's an outlet to be able to, and also I really love seeing that aha moment come out of people as like shit gets explained to them, or at least hearing it where they're like, oh shit, I get that. And like I love that moment when it happens for people. So I don't know, like Tony, what kind of outlets do you have? Like are you, obviously you were on Clubhouse the other day, like what are you feeling? Why are people drawn to this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I know is that Apple's got to be pretty happy with Clubhouse being iOS only. I'm sure they've been raking in some market share from the Bitcoiners. I think like for Clubhouse, like my thing about it is that if I'm going there, it's one thing to be obviously like one of the speakers or whatever, but like if I'm going there to learn from some folks as well, the issue is that like I'm one of those people that likes listening to things at 1.5 or 2x speed, and that's obviously not possible on Clubhouse. Except for Olalu. For him, I need to listen like at 0.75. That's the max I can do. So that's the issue there that I found, and it's just hard to be always on. In fact, I was chatting with a few, just like casual conversations with some VCs and whatnot, and they were like, yeah. So I've been like. I've been noticing some of my portfolio founders being on Clubhouse like 24/7, and that like has me greatly concerned. So like but it's interesting. Like I think Clubhouse, like I think it's very obviously, like to Ben's point, especially without the conferences, without that stuff, it's been a fantastic like little gathering place, right, for Bitcoiners to share ideas. Yeah. And to your point previously, Ben, about like everyone, how everyone in Bitcoin is just like they're always like speaking on party lines. They're always kind of presenting a united front. And that's such a difference from like my shitcoinery days. Like it's so different. Like if we were having this kind of discussion, like with a kind of a shitcoin panel, everyone would be coming in with their own agenda. Everyone's trying to really like show their coin in one way or another. And whereas in Bitcoin, everyone's just working to increase the value of Bitcoin, and that's what I love about this community, right? Like everyone is united on that, and I think that's been one of the biggest differences from shitcoinery to Bitcoin. So I think that's been an interesting thing for me.
100%. So. I think we'll round out this one. I guess I guess
everyone hates Clubhouse, man. I guess I'm the only one that likes it. Everyone's like
your bullish theory.
I love it. I think I just jump on there and I have fun all the time, and I think it'll be a net positive for the noobs that are using it, assuming they get into some solid rooms. So,
look, it's anyways, definitely bullish. I'm not saying it's not bullish. I mean, the key to Ben's show here that he doesn't want to admit to his audience, I presume, is that literally everything is bullish for Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, everything. You
Oh,
can say
God.
anything in here and it would be bullish. Everything is good for Bitcoin. Yes, absolutely. And everything, Bitcoin fixes everything that's not bullish. So we're going to keep rolling here. Guys, thanks for being in the chat, dropping all your comments and everything. Keep them coming. Smash the like button. Give this a share. We're going to move on to our next reason. We're going to pass it to Des. What has you feeling bullish this week?
Oh man, I guess it wasn't last week. I guess it wasn't this week. It was last week. Just OKCoin announcing like their full Lightning integration was a big win in our court. You know, I think that's like been something Ryan and I have been thinking about for a very long time, is onboarding exchanges to the Lightning Network. So super bullish on seeing that. You know, we obviously have a lot in the works. Really excited to, you know, get things rolling with, you know, exchanges like Paxful, who have like these amazing user bases who could definitely be life-changing, just to have, you know, deposits and withdrawals on Lightning. So I am just incredibly bullish on exchanges and Lightning, and I think that's just like an incredible progress for the entire ecosystem. So that's like.
Do you think that?
One.
So I have a question for you. Do you think that this is the run where it becomes more or less a necessity to implement it? Like I feel like last run, it was like, okay, Segwit gets implemented and then every exchange was like, holy shit, fees, we're gonna, like, we got to do something. And like now the transaction per second narrative is fucking out the window for alts, right? Like that's, it's just dead. And so it kind of seems like it's coming to the point, like any exchange that isn't doing batching, you're getting raked over the fucking coals for a withdrawal. Like it's, they'll cover maybe a tiny portion of it if they do. And then you're like, oh shit, $20, $30 to get my coins out. It seems totally unnecessary. So do you think it gets to that point where it's like, if you don't have Lightning on your exchange, you're at a huge disadvantage?
Yeah, and it's been really interesting, actually. You know, before we kind of launched this whole initiative, like on our BD front, like a couple quarters ago, it was like, okay, the exchanges will get it. They're fee sensitive. Like they're like, this is a no-brainer to them. But like, it's been interesting because that's not actually the case. Like these exchanges are making like buku bucks on like shit coins. I mean, they don't care. Like these fees mean nothing to them. However, you know, where the demand is coming from is from users. Like, you know, they are the ones who are fee sensitive. They're the ones who want Lightning withdrawals. Like, and they're really the ones who are kind of pushing these integrations. So like, that's been really easy to, or interesting to see that there's like this, the way we thought it was going to evolve has not been what we've actually witnessed. But I actually kind of like it better this way. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, and it makes such a better business case, you know, for us to pitch it to exchanges that way.
Well, we didn't have last cycle. We didn't have Bitcoin only, like broker. We didn't have as much Bitcoin only like brokerages and on ramps and stuff. Those Bitcoin only places, stuff like Cash App, Bull Bitcoin, Swan, like they have a direct incentive to implement Lightning and Liquid and try and reduce their fees, batching, all these different things, Segwit. But like, as you said, like a perfect example is Binance, right? And we're seeing him, it's kind of funny because he's doing it to Ethereum, but he also does it to Bitcoin, is they charge a single flat fee to withdraw from their exchange. And if you withdraw Bitcoin or ETH, and it's a very high fee. He chooses a fee it's almost like predatory. He's like picking a fee that is like 40% higher than he ever really needs to do, and he makes it flat. And then if you withdraw with his token instead, like your fees are just very low, you know. So there's definitely a disincentive on that side, but on the Bitcoin only side, I mean, they have the strongest incentive ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, for sure. It's definitely a little bit more of a challenge with the you know, non-Bitcoin only exchanges, but yeah, I mean, we're making progress. So
yeah, most of the exchanges in Canada, well, the ones that have obviously like that have the easiest access, that have like native apps and stuff like that, all of those, the Bitcoin withdrawals are ridiculous. Like the exception would be ShakePay because they actually batch and they actually cover any, because they do it efficiently, and so they cover your withdrawal fee. So it's like the only, in terms of companies that have multiple coins on them, yeah, most of them, it's like, yeah, either your fee is not covered, we'll cover up to $5 of it, and then the rest is like on you, and we charge a flat. I've seen a lot of the flat fee where it's like, oh yeah, it's 0.0003, which is, it ends up being like 15, 20, 30. I don't even know what that translates to right now, with it being, I'm so not used to like the $10,000 mark. It was so easy to calculate. Now it's just out the window. I have no idea.
Well, now you just use 100K.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and estimate down. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'm super stoked to see this happen. I'm super stoked to see Lightning. Like somebody was saying in, Kraken also, PR Richard working hard to keep his job to make sure Lightning is implemented.
A ton of them have announced, like they just haven't like fully implemented it yet. But isn't Coin Corners in Canada, right?
No, they're in the UK. I actually just had the whole team on last week for Why Are We Bullish, and yeah,
that's what it was, because you're Canadian, and I'm getting it because y'all have like come on MintGox, and I'm getting everybody's tribes mixed up. But they're doing.
You know what I need? This is unrelated, but you know what I need is a looping white noise track of just Odell popping corks to fall asleep. Like my bullish track for bull markets. Cool. Does anybody have anything else to say about Lightning being added? Jump in. Yes.
I did not know that, like that incentive there, though, Matt, that you brought up. I think that's such a key point, where these exchanges, especially Binance, don't want to move over to Lightning because they have this incentive to push people into using their utility token, which is the BNB coin. And it's like, why would they ever want to implement Lightning? They're going to just end up losing money on this token that they've created. And so I think that is a really interesting point to bring up when you're discussing why these exchanges are not moving over.
Well, no, but what's beautiful here is because we have these Bitcoin only services that are prioritizing. I mean, I left out River too. River has been on the fucking forefront in terms of trying to implement everything. They're like, River is like what Coinbase should have been if they didn't go down the shitcoin rabbit hole. And they're just becoming a fucking powerhouse over there. And what's happening is those services are providing the necessary incentive pressure to these big guys. Like OKCoin, if you hear OKCoin talk about it, what they want for their US arm is they've historically been, a full exchange trading outfit where you're doing limit orders and leverage and all this shit. They want to have like a simplified portal that's like Bitcoin only in perception. Like this idea that like, oh, this is the Bitcoin only portal you can send a noob to. And it's because they're getting the pressure from these Bitcoin only services that didn't exist last cycle.
Well, you see the same stuff out of wallets too, right? Like if you've got a wallet that supports a ton of coins, what's their priority? We're going to add every fucking coin under the sun. Whereas you get a Bitcoin only wallet and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have features like RBF. It's using BEC32 addresses. I have manual fee adjustments. It actually does a good job of checking the mempool for the most accurate fee information. Like all of these things that you want just to use Bitcoin efficiently. And even though it may not be right in front of your face, when you need it, the features are there. And teams like Blue Wallet are fucking knocking it out of the park, where they just keep on adding all these great things. You can do multi-sig, all of these things that you'll never get out of a multi-coin wallet because they're too concerned with supporting everything that they possibly can. And it's the same with exchanges that are Bitcoin only. They're going to focus on bringing the most utility to their users to efficiently use Bitcoin. And I think that's the end game.
It's funny that so many times we talk about bear markets and their importance for the development of Bitcoin and all these tools that happen in that. It's almost like we're starting to say we're bullish on bear markets. Like that, like they're such an integral part of the development of Bitcoin because it washes away all the shit and all the shit coins, and it just leaves you with what's real.
100%. I love it. I'm super stoked to see. I feel like next, over the next few years, like I think this year will nail into exchanges' heads that, oh shit, we better implement Lightning if we want people to have like a positive experience in terms of you know, not only funding but withdrawing from our exchange. And I think by, you know, if we do indeed go through a similar cycle, then next time around it'll be like, you don't have Lightning? Are you fucking insane? Like I that's what it is. Like when I go to if I look at an exchange and I see a legacy address, you're like, what? What are you doing? it's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know, Tony, if you want to add in. Have you been looking at Lightning, using it a lot?
Yeah, well, we hope to be on Lightning at some point. We've been chatting with Ryan a lot about that. So looking forward to really pumped for hopefully to be actually able to see Taproot happen, and then all the good things that'll do for Lightning, as well as DLCs, which is you know, the tech that we're working with, and allowing DLCs to actually happen on Lightning. That would be a huge step forward, and so very optimistic about that. And yeah, like you guys are doing the right stuff by kind of taking this one step at a time. It's a bit of a grind, but like, you know, I respect all the work that you guys are doing, and super optimistic about all that stuff coming.
Awesome.
I'm always super pumped to see on Ryan and I's like notes when like Atomic.Finance is in there. So cool to learn about. So hopefully we'll actually get to be on a call together. I'm also pumped about DLCs for everything and not gambling or betting. But yeah, I'm super pumped for that.
Hey, Tony, do you want to just because I'm sure we're going to have people in the chat that are like, what are DLCs? Do you want to do like a TLDR on what they are?
Yeah, sure. TLDR. So DLCs stand for this thing called discrete log contracts. And basically the simplest, I guess, thing that I can explain it with is that it's a very interesting way to be able to do like, it's basically a 2 of 2 multi-sig on chain that allows you to do some really interesting stuff. So basically, for example, you can have a third-party oracle. And an oracle, all that is a something that pulls data from the real world, right? And basically feeds that data and basically like allows something to happen on chain based on that data. So for example, the easiest example is a prediction market or a betting market, right? Like basically, you know, the US election, you know, you had a oracle that reported on who won the election. And then of course, based on that data, then I get to resolve that bet between two people, right? It's a contract between two people. And so, but then like what we're working with right now is using DLCs and extending that to kind of some more interesting financial primitives, like potentially options and futures, and you know, these kinds of financial instruments where you have two counterparties, and then you need like a third-party oracle to basically report data in order to basically you know, cause a payout. So you know, in a bet, the simplest thing is one person gets 100% of the payout, and then the other person gets 0. And then with options and futures, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But yeah, that's the general gist.
And a good example of like an oracle would be like the New York Times posting the baseball scores from this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you guys are also working, some people, was it you or, you know, we talked about it on last night, but the multi-oracle solution, where you can pull data from multiple sources to make sure that you're not having to depend or trust a single oracle. I thought that was a pretty big piece.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, in the event where like, you know, one exchange, for example, you know, they have a crazy flash crash. I think Kraken had that with like ETH or something like that. You know, right. in that kind of situation, then you have multiple oracles or multiple exchanges providing their data, their price feed, so that we kind of eliminate those kind of outlier situations and make sure that, you know, you're actually getting an accurate price.
Or even a better example would be like the contested election, right?
Yeah.
Where like some oracles would have reported one winner versus another.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Huh. I was just going to interject here. The price has pumped, then dumped, and then stabilized at the price from the beginning of the show.
As is tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're going to get into our final reason for being bullish. Guys in the chat, thank you so much for continuing to put them through there. Keep doing it. I'm gonna bring up more whenever they come up. We've got 160 people in here. Smash that like button, give it a share, and we're gonna stick with Tony and let you round it out with your reason for being bullish this week.
Yeah. So this week, I guess it's not this week, but like, a week ago or something like that, where basically, I was chatting with some no coiner friends, and basically I was thinking that, like, after that chat, I thought a lot about, okay, like, wow, it's actually quite so interesting that the macro environment has made it a situation where no coiners are actually able to understand things and latch on to why, like, Bitcoin is such a powerful thing, like in just one, like, face-to-face conversation. Like, basically, some of the things I brought up during the conversation was like, okay, well, you look at, so I live in Toronto, right? And Toronto and Vancouver are kind of famous in North America for being one of the craziest, like, housing markets, right? And like, I was like, we started the conversation like, okay, well, did you see that that shack looking house that, like,
I saw it, yeah,
$1.5 million, like something crazy, and then that really got me going, like, the reason for that really is that, like, and that's happening obviously at the end of this year, where obviously we had millions of small business shut down. We had, still a ton of people out of a job here in Canada. And really it's because people are just desperately looking for an inflation hedge. And for the average Joe person, like, the real estate market is really, really that thing. And like, talking about that, talking about kind of, obviously in a year where there's been, a lot of economic devastation for most companies in the economy, this idea of some of the richest people getting a lot richer because they hold, they don't save in dollars, right? Their most of their wealth is just in these stocks and these non-cash assets. And because of all the money printing that's been going on, the fact that they've been these guys are getting richer in this kind of year, it's just a testament to, the real impact of the money printing that's been going on. And it was so cool for me to see the light in their eyes and see that they actually started getting some of this stuff, right? It was actually, it's just like some of these, like, trying to onboard no coiners, like, a couple of years ago compared to now. It's such a change because they can actually see, it doesn't make sense that all this stuff, all these asset prices are increasing, all that kind of stuff in this kind of year. And, there's just really one simple explanation for it, which is all that money printing that's been going on. And when you bring up Bitcoin, that transition to really understanding the value proposition, it's so much clearer. And that's just, it's just amazing for me to see that. And one of the reasons why I'm extremely bullish, like, this time around, on Bitcoin, right? Compared to other times, I guess. But I mean, I'm always bullish, but just so the macro environment just lines up so much for the average person to be able to get it. That's powerful because we don't, like, we don't even have to do all the education ourselves. Like, basically the government's helping us, right? Like, basically, so that's really why.
It's amazing this year. Like, there's never been an easier time for Bitcoiners to explain why Bitcoin. There's so many things to point to. You just look around. Look at, this is why Bitcoin. It's like, even the narrative of there's no inflation or the inflation isn't coming. Like, StatsCan did a report, like, in the past few months saying, oh, the past couple of years, inflation's only been 0.5%, which is so ridiculous. And meanwhile, my friend is doing my basement right now, and the price of lumber is quintupled. It's fucking insane. It's like, it's everything. Like, I had if you guys follow on Twitter, Fartface2000, he did the Bit Piggies. He's the best. So he I don't know what he does, but he had a thread back from December of all his suppliers. He must do something in construction, but all his suppliers, all of the individual emails from suppliers of supplies, basically saying, hey, like, expect the price of this and this and this. And there was a list of the percentage increases based on inflation of what they're going to be upping their prices. And most of them were double digits, 10 to 20%, sometimes more. So, like, when people say, oh yeah, inflation is like 1 point something percent, or here in Canada, oh, it's only been 0.5%. What are you talking about? Don't worry about it. It's total bullshit. Total bullshit. So like, you're right, Tony. Like, you can point to everything, and now it's not a struggle to prove your point. I don't know if anybody wants to
100%.
tag on to that. It drives me insane though.
I mean, I agree with you just because that's, it's so easy to see with people around me on a day-to-day basis. Even my partner, she was like, you're crazy, you're insane. Like, why are you buying Bitcoin? Like, it actually almost like came to a point where like our relationship was being impacted by the level of like Bitcoin I was buying and the amount of mining machines I was buying. Like, I was going all in, like it was about to happen. And, it's good to always be reeled back a little bit just in case. But now it's like, I'm buying Bitcoin for her with her money. Like, it's like she gets it. And I think there's still a lot more knowledge to be listened to and heard by the no coiners, but at least they get like a piece of it now. And that makes such a big difference on talking to people and trying to explain why Bitcoin is so important. But yeah, inflation, dude, it's like, it's out of control. Absolutely out of control. And we haven't even started spending money yet. Like, the velocity of money is like, it's like bottomed out. It's like almost zero. And
well, yeah,
go ahead. There's all this money in the market. Like, when we printed like 26% of the M2 money supply in the last 12 months, we've printed almost 50 to 60% of the M2 money supply in the last 10 years. What's to say they're not going to double and triple it again, right? I mean, obviously they're going to keep printing money, but what happens when they start spending money? When they start spending money, you're going to just see inflation absolutely go through the roof. So it's going to be real fun to watch Bitcoin just absolutely tear people's faces off.
Yeah, here in Canada, they were saying how all these economists are so worried about how Canadians have been getting, and it's different from in the States. Like, the States, you guys got like a pittance, and here in Canada, they're like $2,000 a month. Does that sound good for everybody? All right,
they sent us like 100,000 Satoshis and then called it a day.
Yeah. They've been divvying it up, and it's funny because there was like no checks on like whether you actually qualified for the money. So a bunch of people were like, that clearly did not qualify whatsoever, were like, hey, can I have this money? And they just got sent right away. And then they obviously spent it. And then right off the bat, and they're like, oh yeah, you're going to have to pay that back. And then they walked that back. They're like, well, I don't know what we're going to be able to do about that. It's like, okay. So yeah. So anyways, there's been just a nonstop burr in Canada, and people have been actually saving it and or investing it. And there was a report the other day where like 40 to 50% of people that even in the States getting their stimulus checks were planning on investing all or at least a portion of their stimulus check. So it's like additional money that they're like, well, I may not need this just to eat. I'm gonna go dump it on Robinhood and buy.
Yeah, they were like,
GameStop.
they were direct depositing it into Robinhood and then fucking dumping it into like the worst fucking meme stonks ever.
It's horrible. There was one benefit of being in the United States, which is the business loans they gave out, though, the small business loans. I don't know if any of you guys took part in those,
but that was fucked up because anyone who wasn't savvy couldn't take advantage of it, and anyone who was savvy took a huge advantage of it.
We actually
it was designed in the most predatory fucking way ever.
The crazy part was they said you're gonna have to pay this money back, and then everybody, it was the same thing with Canada. And then everybody went out and got a loan, and we basically stood back because we were like, well, we don't need the loan yet, because it was very early on in all of this mess, right? We didn't know we were going to be a year in. And we looked at the loans. We're like, we're not going to take the first round maxed out. But some people took like maxed out loans. Like, we had friends.
Yeah, we took a maxed out loan.
200K. And they were like thinking they had to pay it back. And then one day the government's like, nah, you can just keep that.
Our accountant was like, take the loan. We gave our secretary a raise. Like in the middle of this whole thing.
Because you had to use it on salary and stuff like that too anyways, right?
Yeah. It had to be applied to salaries and the jobs had to stay. So we just took it and gave her a raise. Just because like who's gonna sit there and just like not take the free money? If you're gonna let all the Wall Street guys take it, you gotta take it.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's a really great point. And that's some friends have been saying that to me. They're like, man, if the government is offering to give you free money, like, don't be like,
it's not free. They're taking it from all of us. So if they're offering it, you have to take it. Like if
That's
you
what I
don't
mean,
take
Bo. The
it,
point
then
is
you're just
take it.
getting charged for no reason.
Yeah, you're part of the tax bill anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's literally like it again, it doesn't matter the number of dollars, and this is what a lot of normies don't get. It doesn't matter the number of dollars you have, it's the percentage of total dollars that you have. And when they do things like all of this stimulus and 350 billion of the almost 2 trillion was stimulus checks to individuals, and the rest went other places. And so wherever that went, if it's concentrated in like a few places, then those people are the ones that actually really won out of that equation. Like you may be up better than people that got no stimulus money, but still you're gonna be net negative over the long haul because your purchasing power in the economy has gone to shit.
You're treading water. You're treading water. It's the beauty of the scam. The beauty of the scam is they tax you with the inflation, and then the inflation causes gains, which then they tax. That's the beauty of it. Like if they can make stonks pump forever, then you're going to pay capital gains tax forever.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is why it's scary to, this is why it's difficult for me to partly live on Bitcoin because, those capital gains. But I guess in the end, if I'm paying the capital gains, I'm still it's because I've gained instead of just infinitely lost on my dollars. So I don't know.
So that's the point. Like we're gonna hit a point where you're not even gaining. Like right now, we're in the adoption cycle of Bitcoin, but when it starts just matching inflation, like when we plateau out and it's just we go up, because our purchasing power is basically increasing at a steady rate. While the thing is measured in the dollar or the Canadian dollar or whatever is going down in value, at that point it's just matching inflation, and it's that's just bullshit, right? At that point, it's just they're just creating arbitrary rules to take your money.
Yeah, is there still a dollar when Bitcoin gets to the point where it plateaus and it's only like an average of a couple % deflation per year? Like I don't know that a dollar exists in that world at that point.
I don't think so. I think that's still probably it's got to be at least 10 years out, 20 years out at best.
Matt just smiles.
I just love that. I love that like 10 years is like the conservative guess.
Yeah.
No,
that's my bullish case for the dollar being destroyed. 10 years. Hey man, we're doing crazy shit these days. You never know what could happen out there. So I'm just glad that we have Bitcoin and that we can even opt out of all of this garbage.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. That's all it is. Guys, I'm gonna round it out here. I'm gonna go around to each person quick for final thoughts, and then we will wrap it up. Again, everybody in the chat, awesome. Thank you. Give this a like, a subscribe, a share, whatever you can do. But let's get some final thoughts. Odell, what do you got for me?
Yo. Thanks for having me. I got Citadel Dispatch coming on Tuesday. We're going to be doing a Bitcoin gaming focused show, Lightning Gaming. We got one of my boys from Zebedee is going to be there. And then the lead dev from Bitcoin Bounty Hunt. So I'm super excited about it. It's going to be very good. So, search Citadel Dispatch on whatever platform that you enjoy, and it'll be there. And then second, I've been consulting with Bitcoin Magazine, and Bitcoin 2021 is going to be fucking insane in June 3rd through 5th. We're going to have Bitcoin gaming tournament there while we're there. It's going to be fucking crazy. Today, we announced Warren Davidson, sitting congressman in the U.S. Congress, is going to be a speaker there. That's on top of Mayor Francis Suarez of Miami, who's going to be there, sitting mayor. And our queen, Senator Loomis, Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming, is going to be there and speaking as well. So far, we have 3 sitting politicians that are going to be there. And over at least 4 or 5 billionaires. It's just going to be ridiculous. Tony Hawk's going to be there. We're going to have a half pipe. You can use code HUMBLE, all caps, for 15% off. And they're going to pull the plug on that at some point soon. So, I mean, either use it or don't.
Those caps.
I make no money from that promo code for what it's worth. But you should use it.
They They just added Preston Pish, which I'm also very excited about. And I think he's the only panelist who currently in their profile there has laser eyes. What's up with that?
Dude, the speaker list, both the public speaker list and the speaker list that has not been announced yet, is the most bullish fucking thing ever. Like, it is fucking ridiculous, and people do not fully comprehend what this event is going to be. It's going to be fucking ridiculous.
I can't wait. It's going to be insane. Okay, we're going to get final thoughts. I'm going to go to Des next, and the reason is somebody in the chat also just said Lightning Network tutorials. Anybody? So just as mental. Yeah, I do have a few beginner Lightning Network tutorials for kind of like the in-betweener wallets where you're it is like self-custody, but there's like a degree you kind of don't have to do the heavy lifting on the back end of setting up channels and stuff like that. So I have some tutorials around that for like Breeze Wallet, BREEZ, and for Phoenix Wallet. And I'm going to be working on Moon Wallet, I believe, soon. I don't have a ton on doing like setting up your own channels and stuff like that, other than I did it with my Umbrel node tutorial. I showed you guys how to set up outgoing and incoming channels there. But Des, if you have any suggestions for Just Is Mental and some parting thoughts.
Yeah, definitely shoot me a DM on Twitter. It's Dickerson_Des. Another one, if like you're a little bit more advanced, is docs.lightning.engineering, which is great resources. And then we also have a really great builder's guide to the LND Galaxy, which I guess is like the same thing, but we have like a series of blog posts as well. So I can send those out to folks if you DM me. But yeah, I guess check out everything we're doing at Lightning Labs. We've got a lot of recent really cool releases with Pool and sidecar channels. We recently released in our product update, I don't know if it was this week or last week. We have a great blog post covering that. And then also check out MintGox and everything that's like kind of going on in the Bitcoin gaming space. Our next event is March 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And we will be giving, the prize pool is 10 million sats. So there's like a decent amount folks can win. And then, yeah, I mean, stay tuned for, announcements around an in-person event because we're doing super big things, and super pumped being in contact with Matt about that, so big announcements coming up there. But yeah, I'm super bullish, and this has been great to be on this podcast with all these folks. It's been awesome. I'm honored.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. Let's jump to Tony. Tony, any final thoughts? Let people know where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the invite. It's been amazing chatting with all you amazing people. So for us, if you want to check out Atomic.Finance, our link is Atomic.Finance. And if you want to explore kind of like how you might be able to make yield on your Bitcoin and without giving up custody, still maintaining your privacy, still maintaining your self-sovereignty, that's what we're wanting to do. So we'd love to see y'all who are interested in that signing up for a beta. We're going to start rolling some invites out next month. Dennis will be part of that contingent. If you want to check out more stuff about DLCs as well that we discussed, Assured Bits, which is an awesome company that we're partnered with, and there's a bunch of brilliant guys that are really spearheading the development on DLCs. You can Google them and their blog. They have tons of amazing content about that. Super excited for Miami. Hopefully we can make it down there. I'm still debating with Matt, my co-founder, whether or not we're gonna head down there.
Make it happen, dude. What the fuck?
Sessions, I think we're going to need to organize a Canadian contingent. I'm super curious to get your thoughts offline, like how you're planning to handle the quarantine stuff. But like, man, it's just annoying.
I'm going to take that hit, man. Like, even if they still have these terrible quarantine, like right now, if you fly back to Canada from traveling, there's like, you get tested. If you end up positive, then you have to like sit in a hotel room on your own expense of like a couple $1,000s for like however long. If that happens, if that's still in place, I will take that hit. I am not missing this fucking
But
conference.
the trick is you just make a longer Miami vacation and you just come down for a while. There's going to be a bunch of us Bitcoiners that are going to be there for a long period of time because honestly, you know, it's probably one of the best places to be right now to begin with. And the Airbnbs aren't that expensive. So you go down there, have a good time with it. And then get yourself tested in Miami. So if you're positive, then stay in Miami, quarantine down there, then go back up.
Smart
to Canada.
idea.
That's
Smart.
the play.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought my ticket today, so we're gonna be there. You got to show up.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I know Matt's listening to this right now. So Matt, there it is. We should go.
Let's make it happen, Matt.
You
Get your
gotta
shit
go.
together.
All right.
Let's toss it to Dennis. Final thoughts. Last person. Let people know where they can find you and any other thoughts you have.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, for having me on here. Matt, Desiree, and Tony, been great to speak with you. Nice to meet all of you for the first time. I have to say, Tony, obviously the smarter co-founder over at Atomic.Finance. Hey, man, I want to be first in line for this app. I got to be the first beta tester. But more about what I'm doing. I'm on Clubhouse. I do shows almost daily. I'm basically just fully addicted the way that some people originally got addicted to Twitter. I do a lot of cafe Bitcoin stuff, but I also have my own club called Bitcoin Plus. I do have a really, really good show coming up where we're going to do an absolute just thrashing of Ethereum. I mentioned it earlier, hoping to get us some amazing heavy hitters on there. We've already got big players like Brad Mills, JC Crown, talking to Dan Held. We're about to send a letter over to Lynn Alden to see if she wants to join in. Would love to have Marty and love to have Matt there as well, just so we can round out the crew. VJ, if you're listening also, please come on. We'd love to have any of you on who could just rip this thing wide open. But aside from that, that's going to be but that's going to be Thursday on the 25th. But aside from that, just you find me on Twitter. On Twitter, it's the only time it's different. It's the Machine Built. Everywhere else, it's Machine Built as my username. But it's been an honor to be on with all of you and a pleasure to finally meet one of my favorite podcasters, Matt Odell.
Awesome.
Cheers to that.
Thank you, Dennis. That's awesome. I'm just putting a camera in a battery in my camera because when I do long shows and I don't have a power supply, shit goes wrong.
And you have a battery-powered webcam? Well, how does that work?
It's a DSLR camera. It's a Sony, but then I've got some little dongle that plugs in to turn it into a webcam, which is why it looks all fancy when I get my setup.
You look so beautiful all the time. You're like crystal clear. I'm gonna have to upgrade.
I can zoom. Oh,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. This is always my favorite part of the week. It's just like such a good round out to the end of the week to just shoot the shit with a bunch of awesome Bitcoiners. So really appreciate you guys. Everybody watching, links for all of these guys' Twitter handles are in the show notes. So be sure to, if you're not following them, what the hell are you doing? So please go do that. Guys, I'm going to cut your audio and video right now, do my little outro. If you want to stick around and say a quick goodbye afterwards, that's all good.
Will do.
Good. Thank you, guys. Everybody watching, again, thank you so much. If you're here on YouTube, please do smash that like button. Give this a share. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. All of that, super important. It helps get this content in front of more people. If you want to help with the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors down below in the show notes. That was LEDN, Kobo, Bitrefill, and Privacy Pros for the BillFodl. All of them are there. And if you really loved what you saw, especially since we had Des on here, you can always drop me a Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. That is tippin.me/@BTC sessions. With that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, wherever you may be. And I'll see you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.